Today's video, we're going to be finishing series I'm in the middle of, and I think it's going to be all audiobooks in today's video. So there's quite a few series that I'm in the middle of, but there are a few that I want to continue on that are specifically ones that I want to listen to on Audible. So the first one that I am thinking of is from the Bourbon Brothers series. I have just listened to the first book, and I don't know if I'm going to go straight into the second one, but I definitely want to continue that series on Audible. I do own the e-copies of the first and third book, but the second one wasn't available for such a long time. So yeah, I'm thinking I will continue that one on Audible. Other potentials are I listened to the first of the Ruinous Love trilogy, which is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. So I definitely want to continue her series on Audible. I absolutely love the first one, so I'm hoping the others are just as good and I like the story just as much. Then there's also Navessa Allen's series. I cannot think of what it is quite right now. Do I have it written down? Is the Into Darkness series by Navessa Allen. So I have listened to Lights Out. Again, another one I absolutely loved. So the next one is Caught Up. I do have Caught Up in physical form as well, but I want to listen to that one just because I had such a good time with the first one. And then hopefully by the time the third one comes out, I'm ready to listen to that one. And then there's also the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I don't own any of the books for that series, but I had, so again, like it was just amazing to listen to the first one. So I want to continue that series on as well. I have my little reading journal here too, just to sort of remind myself of what I wanted to listen to. I think they're the main ones because I was also listening to the Wolf King trilogy. So when the Wolf Queen comes out, which I think comes out, I don't even know if it's this year, but I will continue that one on Audible as well, even though I still want to have the books as well. There is one called The Mate Games. I can't for the life of me remember who the author is, but I have the second one ready to go in that series. It's not as popular as some of the others, but that's definitely one that I'm thinking of checking out. Another one that is, the second one isn't out yet for, is Aristocrats of London, which is a Susie Tate new series. So I've literally just listened to Lawmaker, which has just come out. So when the second one comes out, which is called Deal Breaker, I will be listening to that one as well on Audible, I think. And yeah, I've got quite a lot that I want to start as well, listening to the audio. So I will check back in when I've decided what I'm going to listen to. So guys, I just wanted to jump in really quickly and just say that while I don't want to give any spoilers away in this particular video, I am talking about sequels. If you consider it a spoiler to know who the couples are in an interconnected standalone, this video just may not be for you today if I'm reading books series that you want to get into or are in the middle of as well, because I don't want to give spoilers of the actual story and what's going on in the book, but I will be talking about the characters that are in the book and who the book is about. So yeah. Not a spoiler in the sense that I'm going to tell you everything that happens in the book, but just be wary that I will be talking about who is in the book. Obviously, if I end up listening to one of the stories that is a full-on continuation and it's not an interconnected standalone, I will just give you my thoughts and feelings on the book. I won't actually talk about what the book is about, just so that I don't ruin anything at all. But yeah, I just wanted to pop this clip in and say that just so that you are aware. I'm not going to spoil the book, but I will be talking about who the books are about. Alright guys, so at the start of this video I did mention that I was currently listening to Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder, which is the first book in the Bourbon Boys series, and that follows 3 brothers. And so I thought I'd just give you my thoughts on the book, since even though technically this video is supposed to be me trying to get through series and finishing series, I am technically starting a series with this one, but it is one that I do want to continue on and probably will continue on in Audible as well. So the books follow the Fox brothers. They are from this small town in Kentucky, and they essentially have this big bourbon empire. And this first book follows Grant, the youngest Fox brother, and there is a rumor in this town that says that the family is cursed, and if you fall in love with a fox, that you'll essentially end up dead. So the small town vibes in this is kind of fun in the sense that it is one of those towns where even though it is a close-knit community, they do have a real dislike for outsiders, and they do have a real love of gossip. So that's something I really love when it comes to a small town, even though I think if I was living that kind of small town life, it would drive me crazy. But I love reading about it. We do get a little bit of a insight into the family history, and the book does start with a prologue of Grant's previous partner, who did end up dying at the start of this book. And so we're following him, and then we also meet Lainey, who has been put in witness protection and sent to live with the Fox family. So it's a lot of fun. It is a small town. It is romantic suspense. This book was full of sexual banter, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love books when you know that the main characters know the other person's attracted to them, and then so their banter is very laced in sexual tension. I just find that so much fun to read, and that also really translated in the audio as well, because it is a dual narration. And so I ended up giving that one 4 stars. But I'm also now currently listening to Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. I do have the book here, actually. Yeah, so I listened to the first one, which is Butcher and Blackbird, a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but it feels like a while ago, and I really liked it. So I started to listen to this one. I heard a lot of people say that they didn't like this one as much as the first one, and I am definitely not having that same thought. I am having a blast listening to this book. I don't know if it's the exact same, I haven't checked, but if it's the exact same narrators, but they're doing a fantastic job. The thing I love about this one is it's not a graphic audio or anything like that, so you're not getting the sound effects and everything, but the narrators are doing such a fantastic job of sounding like just people having a conversation sort of thing. So it's really, really good. And it's not quite where I thought the book would go, because our FMC Lark, she is a singer. So I thought it might be a little bit more on her being a singer in the story, but you do know that she's a singer, but yeah, it doesn't really follow her like on stage or anything like that, which is what I kind of thought it was going to be. But I'm still having a great time. I absolutely love the narration in this book. It is also duet. Yes, duet. It is also duet narration, and yeah, they do such a good job. And I think because they act out certain things, so instead of necessarily just saying, oh, they laughed or whatever, like they would just actually laugh in the narration. And so it's just very engaging to listen to. And so I'm having a really, really good time with this one. I gave Butcher and Blackbird 5 stars. So I feel like this one could follow along. And I think a lot of people maybe didn't like this one as much because perhaps the first one was such a shock value. We hadn't sort of had too many stories that were written, I don't know, like almost like a comedy, a slasher type comedy type vibe. Alright guys, I finished listening to Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver, and I'm going to give that one 5 stars for the vibes. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. I don't know, there's just something about Brynne Weaver's writing that is just fun to listen to. So Leather and Lark follows directly on from Butcher and Blackbird, where we get Rowan and Sloane's story. So I would recommend reading their book first and then listening to the rest, but it does follow directly on, so the story almost continues straight through, and you do get a little bit of like Sloane, Rowan, and Fionn and Ruby, who you meet in the first book. So yeah, it's definitely one that you'll get a better reading experience if you read them all through in order. But Leather and Lark follows Lark and Lachlan. So the premise of Leather and Lark is that someone is slowly trying to kill off people from Lark's family and people that they're connected to, and they're almost making it set up so it looks like Lachlan is the one that's doing the killing, or the company that Lachlan works for is the one that's doing the killing. And so in order to protect Sloane, because Sloane is obviously married to Lachlan's brother, and by extension they would go after Lachlan and his entire family, she decides that the best way to do that is to marry Lachlan and make out like they're in love. And so her family will, instead of hunting Lachlan and his family, start to protect them so that they can protect Lark. So that is the premise of why they get married, even though they sort of get off on a bad foot initially. And the story is them essentially trying to figure out who is trying to kill off people in the family and why. And yeah, it just goes from there. Like, I literally had nothing else to add to that. I don't know why I said and. But this book has so much, like, I mean, it's technically a family, but it's like a lot of found family vibes as well. And it's got such good sexual banter and tension. I would say this one, despite being quite a spicy book, is somewhat of a slower burn comparative to other books like this, because they don't really get together until towards the end of the book. But yeah, you do get that longing, and it is dual POV, it's duet narration if you're going to listen to the audio, and yeah, it's just done so well. Like, it's just one I would recommend listening to if you like listening to audiobooks, or if you think you don't like listening to audiobooks but maybe you just haven't listened to one that's been done well. This is definitely one I would recommend if you think you would like the story, because I really enjoy the narration for this one and the previous one. So yeah, it's been really good to listen to and super easy to listen to as well. So yeah, 5 stars for that one. And it's just, it had me laughing. The banter and some of the jokes in there, it was just right up my alley. A little bit sarcastic and rude, but yeah, funny. So I had a great time listening to that one. And then I've jumped straight into Caught Up by Navessa Allen. And again, this one sort of, I think, fell in the same category as Leather and Lark, where the first one was so good and seemed really unique for the story when it first came out, that I feel like people felt like the second book wasn't as good. But I think that's because they expected it to be almost like a copy paste of Lights Out. So I'm trying to go in with a fresh brain, or like no preconceived notions with it. So basically, Caught Up follows Nico and Lo. And Nico and Lo, they hooked up when they were teenagers, and Nico's family, who are the mob, and he is in the mob, basically said, you know, they didn't agree with the relationship, and so they had to sort of break up. But Nico broke up with Lo in a way that sort of like really broke her heart, and was kind of a nasty way to break up with her, because he thought that was the best way to keep her safe. So all this time, she's sort of tried to move on, but also felt a little bit traumatized by what's happened with them previously, to the point where she doesn't really trust anybody. And so when he comes back into her life, because he's sort of at a point where he thinks it might be safe to sort of get closer to her, yeah, she's obviously not as receptive. And so he's sort of having to rebuild that trust, but then also he's still not quite out of that mob life. And so he thinks that his family might actually hurt her if it meant keeping them apart. So he is working towards getting out of the mob. So I'm assuming that that will be the rest of the story and will play into the story quite heavily. But yeah, so far I'm liking it. Not as strong as Lights Out in my opinion, but I think Lights Out was just like, you know, one of those 6-star reads for me. I know not everybody loves it, but the audio for that was just hilarious. I had a great time the entire time. Whereas I feel like Caught Up is a little bit more, not that it's more serious really, because like some of the themes in all of them are pretty intense, but it doesn't have that light-hearted feel that Lights Out did. So I think that's where a lot of the lower ratings were coming from, because people were expecting the same sort of like haha kind of silliness from Lights Out in Caught Up as well. But now that I'm reading it a lot longer after Caught Up has actually come out, and I'm aware of the book not being the same sort of tone as the first one, I think I can sort of separate the two a little bit more than what others might have when they read them closer together. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. It's really fun. I do feel like it's not as strong as Lights Out, and I'm definitely not enjoying it as much as I liked Leather and Lark, but it's still really early stages for me. I think I'm only up to like chapter 11 or 15 or something like that. So yeah, time will tell, and I will check back in when I'm either further along or finished, and I will give you my full thoughts once, yeah, the story's actually going. Alright guys, so it is the next day, even though I'm in the same spot with the same top on probably, but I have finished Caught Up by Navessa Allen. I gave this one a 3-star and I did enjoy it, so it's not a 3-star because I disliked it. Like for me, a 3-star is a good rating. It's just not one that I think I would ever go back to reread or re-listen to. Whereas Lights Out, I think about that one quite often because I found it absolutely hilarious, and I thought that the audio for that book was just, the narrators did such a good job. So yeah, I just didn't get that feeling with this one. So with Caught Up. So yeah, 3 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a good time, and I will continue the series on. I do want to read the next one when it is released, but I definitely don't think I would necessarily go back to reread Caught Up ever. I just don't know that I would ever get the urge to. But having said that, like I said, I did still enjoy it. It's still a good book, and I would still recommend reading it if you liked Lights Out and you want to continue on in that particular universe. By the end, we did get a little bit of Josh and Ellie from the first book, but you would not have to read these ones in order, because even though they're mentioned in there, they are a part of the story sort of right at the end, very minimally. It doesn't spoil anything from the first book. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up to listen to next, so I will just jump in the next clip and update you on where I'm at with whatever book I pick. Alright guys, I am down to the last book of this vlog, and while I did start a series at the start of this video, technically, I am finishing a series as well. So the last book I chose to listen to or read is Scythe and Sparrow by Brynne Weaver. I'm up to chapter 22 at the moment, so I don't know if that's even gonna focus, but I've just started chapter 22, so I've got 2 hours and about 20 minutes left of that book. So I thought it'd just be fun to finish off a series, even though I started a series and now still back with the same amount of series that I'm in the middle of, but that's okay. I don't think I'll ever not be in the middle of at least 10 different series. But this one, I'm having a good time with it. I'm really enjoying it. It's just not as fun, I don't think, as the first two, in my opinion. We do sort of go back to the start. We're following Fionn and Rose in Scythe and Sparrow, and we've seen their relationship sort of progress through the eyes of the other characters up until this book. And so it does start right at the start of when Fionn and Rose actually meet and how she ends up with a broken leg. And then we still see like the snippets that we see in the other books. So we see from Rose and Fionn's point of view when Rowan takes Sloane to Fionn's house in the first book. And then we also see from Rose's point of view when Lark and Lachlan sort of meet for the second time at the start of Leather and Lark. So we're still catching up on all those stories. And then there is a 1-year time gap in the middle of the book as well. And then we sort of know roughly from Leather and Lark where Scythe and Sparrow is going to sort of come to like an end-ish. So I'm I think I'm waiting for that point. And even though it's sort of fun to see how they progress from the start, you kind of already know their story and you're getting a little bit more detail, which is good. So if you enjoy being in this world, you're still sort of around all the characters and they are coming back into it, and you're seeing things that were a little bit different but sort of similar to the other books, which is fun. But I do think I am kind of just waiting for the book to get to the point where Leather and Lark finished. And so yeah, it's building up to that point. And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of waiting for it, which I think is why it's not as fun, I guess. I don't know. I'm still having a good time. I still am enjoying it, but just not as much as the first two, I don't think. It's not one that I think I would go back and reread, whereas the first two I definitely would, but this one not so much. And I think that's just on me. Like, I am, as much as I keep saying it, I do enjoy it. I am having fun with it, but I think I'm more critical of it by this point. And I really just kind of wanted to, I feel like it's like watching the same movie over and over again when it's not like your favorite movie. So I don't know. I'm having a good time with it. I'm going to finish it off by tomorrow night. Probably it'll be done. That's pretty much the exact amount of time I would need to finish this book with my drives tomorrow. So yeah, I will check back in at the end with my final rating and just close the video out. But yeah, it's been a good book, just not one that I absolutely love. Like, it's not going to be a favorite of mine. But please don't like take that as a reason not to read it. You might love it more than me, but yeah, all that to say, I'm still enjoying it. It's still a good book. Alright guys, I'm in here to finish off the video. I have finished Scythe and Sparrow by Brynne Weaver. I almost forgot what I was talking about then. I gave that one 3 stars in the end. While it was still a good book and I liked it, I definitely feel like it fell flat a little bit compared to the first two. And I was continually just trying to get to the point where we left off in Leather and Lark. And then once it got there, it kind of like, I don't know, I felt like the story had fizzled a little bit by then, but it was still a good end to the trilogy. And you do get a lot of epilogues in this one. If you're not a big fan of epilogues, I don't know if they're necessarily worth it, but it does sort of round out the story. And then I think it's given us a little snapshot leading into tourist season and that upcoming trilogy. There is also a small novella in between like this trilogy and the next called Love and Other Killers. So I have that on my Kindle. I'll read that at some point before I start tourist season. But that one I think is the bridging novella between these stories. So I don't know if it's got anything to do with the epilogue, but it could do. However, yeah, 3 stars for the last book, which I think is still good. That's a good rating for me. And then also it means that I did finish off a series technically. I'm not counting the novella, but I will actually read that at some point. Yeah, even though I'd sort of started one at the start of this, but it wasn't officially a part of this video per se, but yeah, so I did start the Bourbon Brothers series, which I'm excited to actually continue. That might be one of my next listens, I think. But yeah, I'm also just starting series all the time. I don't really try to keep my series down. I'm just pottering along trying to finish them all off. But yeah, some successful books in here. So Leather and Lark was definitely my favorite out of the 3 that we read for this video specifically. While I did enjoy Bourbon and Lies, that wasn't technically part of this video, even though I did mention it in this one, but I did enjoy that one as well. But yeah, Leather and Lark, I definitely thought was the strongest book. Caught Up and Scythe and Sparrow kind of felt the same in that it wasn't quite living up to the hype I think I had put on what it could be. It definitely didn't have the strength from the previous books in the series, in my opinion, but please don't take that as a reason not to read anything. Like, my opinion is just my opinion. You may completely agree sometimes or completely disagree at other times. So yeah, if it's definitely one you want to read, I would say check it out. You might feel completely different, but that is it for this week's video. For me, it's been a while. that I've been filming all of these. So yeah, let's just hope that I actually mentioned all the right videos, all the right audiobooks in this video. Anyway, I hope whatever you're listening to at the moment or reading is a 5-star, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.